It's time for Remodel Revolution. And now, an award-winning contractor with over 40 years experience. Here is Alex Guthrie.
Welcome to another episode of Remodel Revolution. I'm your host, Alex Guthrie. We're coming to you live from the world headquarters of Remodel Revolution from right here in Dallas, Texas, deep in the heart of the great state of
Easy
Texas.
for you to say. Yeah.
This is the show where there's no politics, no sports, and no mean people. That's why I invited my very good friend, Bess Dickson. Bess is a real estate person, what are you? What are you?
A global real estate advisor, but I do specialize in remodel and relocation.
Yeah. And so that's why I always call Bess when I need somebody that's smarter than me, which isn't hard to find.
Thank you for setting the bar.
Yeah.
Good times.
We were talking about what to discuss today, and because there's so many things, there's this wide range of things, and I've asked Bess to do a couple more shows with us. So over the next few months, we're going to do a couple more shows. But today, I wanted to talk about all this relocation that I keep reading about, and it's just incredible what's happening where people are moving. They're just relocating. There's this mass migration in this country, and they're coming to a few states. We're of course, one of them. From what I've read, I think I'm right about this, Texas has been the #1 relocation state in numbers for 4 or 5 years now.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so one of the things that Bess sent me when I asked her about this, I said, send me a graph, prove it, man. And so Bess sends me the U-Haul numbers. Bess,
Yes.
the U-Haul numbers? Really?
Yes. Well, because, you need something to put your stuff in
Yeah, right.
to bring with you, right? And
right.
we are, what's great about the United States of America is, dadgummit, we'll just do it ourselves. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Right?
there you go.
So, U-Haul. And specifically, it's the U-Haul numbers that are unidirectional. So obviously, it's just going one way and stopping, right? Which is really interesting.
It's like buying a one-way airplane ticket, right? And you're whoever, your friend or
one and done.
You tell your parents say, when is your return trip? And you go, there ain't one.
One and done. One and done. So, yeah.
So let's put that chart up there, Jason, and let's talk about some of these numbers.
Some of the numbers. It's crazy. It's crazy. So the specific U-Haul numbers are interesting because this, also the chart that we talked about, the visual too, this is the Texas Association of Realtors official statement of where are people coming in from. And it's fun to contrast that with the U-Haul because, like, for example, in U-Hauls, Raleigh-Durham, North Carolina is '1.
I saw that.
Yeah. And if you think about it, one way, Raleigh-Durham, North Carolina, well, that makes perfect sense because it has, those highly esteemed schools all right there in that triangle, right? So you can almost mark that off as college, Kissimmee, Florida, and Ocala, Florida. That whole area is essentially Orlando Metroplex, if you will, very similar to DFW Metroplex. And that has
Only I think Orlando might be the only city I've been in besides Atlanta that's harder to get around than DFW.
Amen. And I grew up there, Alex.
Oh, really?
I grew up in Orlando.
That. I
Yes.
know you were a beach bunny.
I was. And I actually grew up in Orlando proper, so I was 45 minutes from the beach, sad to say. But I used to literally go horseback riding on all these roads that you can no longer go horseback riding on.
Wow.
So I totally hear you on the hard to get
the
around.
traffic is just impossible. But anyway,
crazy.
that's another show.
Story, another day.
Yeah.
Anyway, but Texas has most of the cities that U-Haul is, pretty happy about as far as
I mean, if you drive
money in
down,
their
you
pocket
drive
goes.
down. If the thing is because of our traffic, you can now go so slow that you get you get to read all the license plates around you. And my gosh, I mean, you would think that we had a Disneyland here. Well, I mean, there's
Very
people
true.
from all over the country.
Well, don't we really though, Alex? Don't we really have kind of a Disneyland? And it's called, the Fortune 500 is moving to Texas.
Disneyland,
The ultimate Disneyland.
yeah, corporate Disneyland, right,
Right?
right.
Exactly.
Right.
I mean, Texas is very much about. We think you work hard for your money, so you should keep it in your pocket, and that also applies to corporate America as well. And so, corporations are responding and moving here. In record numbers, even now. It's been going on for quite some time. I mean, you've got some sexy headliners like Toyota, but there's many
Smaller
others.
companies, but powerful, small but powerful. There's also a lot of media people moving here. I think Glenn Beck may have started that years ago. He was way ahead of the curve, and then all of a sudden they're following him
Right?
because I guess he must like it here. He's still here.
Well, and Charles Swindoll with his whole group, which is now a Christian multimedia organization, they moved here years ago as well.
And so the Dallas has always had in the past, when I was a youngster, a little pup, we had a hard time growing because we didn't have the infrastructure. We had water issues. There was just a whole lot of, we didn't really have the college. We had SMU, but we just didn't have the things that it took. But time, it really seems like it started in the 80s, honestly, when they started going, that's not a bad area and there's room to grow. And then the kind of bedroom community started really popping up. Plano, I think, really it got started there when there was all those big relocations of major corporations, Fortune 500 corporations moving in, and I guess it was in the 80s and late 80s
You
and
can
90s.
even say, you can make a case really that as far as being a technology sensitive state,
Yeah.
it started with our own Texas Instruments.
Yeah.
And,
IBM.
and Richardson, just outside of Dallas, was probably the very first bedroom
was the
community, so to
first-
speak.
Yeah.
And it was birthed by our very own Texas Instruments.
That's right. That's exactly right. Yeah.
it's
That's
been
why they
just
never
ongoing.
invited me there.
But you're talking about universities and education. That's actually one of the three primary reasons corporations are moving here. Is we've grown up. We are no longer just ranchers and farmers. And please hear that not as a negative. We have expanded our repertoire of specialties. We now have over 50 community college districts in the state and over 37 recognized universities. And so because of that, obviously, we're a pretty well-educated folk, which people appreciate.
Well, and
One of
it just feeds on itself, right? It feeds on itself generation to generation, and so we've become a very now I know I keep hearkening back to, but this is my time. So back there was a time in the late 70s and early 80s when we had a lady mayor, and her whole our whole pushback then, and this is the because of TV shows they were doing here like Dallas, and they were, and there's the Texas swing thing and all that. And she kept saying that she wanted Dallas to be the New York City of the middle part of the country.
New York City.
We
No,
never quite
heard that
met,
commercial.
but
Sorry.
I never thought in my lifetime I'd actually see it. But here we are.
But I'd say, but I don't know. We have our own swing. We have our own swing, Texas swing on the whole New York City concept.
Yeah.
I mean, we do have the Thompson Hotel that just opened, and if you've not been there, it is absolutely fantastic. It's still in the process of opening, but it was one of the last. It is one of the last projects in downtown Dallas, which is repurposing old high-rises as something new and different and better. And the Thompson very much has a swanky New York City feel, but with a little Texas twist to it.
Well, I think people come down here wanting the Texas twist. That's why you come. You don't
Yeah.
come here because you want to be in Cincinnati or L.A. or everybody wants to be in LA or New York City particularly. I mean, you want the convenience, you want the energy, you want all that good stuff, but you want a little Texan in there. I mean, why wouldn't you?
Right? Well, or they want the what they perceive to be Texas.
Right.
Which is it. Well, and the reason why I differentiate there is because I don't know if it seems like now that everyone is comfortable coming here, they now are trying to like change Texas as a whole to fit more to what they came from, which is always interesting to me.
Yeah, that little battle that's always kind of going on.
Embracing change, but then also pushing back against change. I guess that's just day-to-day life,
Well,
isn't it?
they found out when they got here that we're not really riding horses and we're not really shooting bows and arrows at each other and things like that.
But we do like our horsepower. I do want to clarify with that. And
we
that
like our
is
horsepower. Just drive
speed
down
limit,
the highway.
That's right. I was going to say the
What
speed
speed
limit
limit?
is a suggestion,
Is there a speed
not
limit?
a mandate. Yes. So that is one thing that is an ongoing consternation is I mean, maybe in other states where all 3 lanes are going about the same speed, the left lane in Texas really is to explore your horsepower.
Yeah.
That's what it's for.
Yeah, the left, what left lane?
What?
I thought there were 3 left lanes.
3 left lanes.
You're supposed to pass on the right when you're in Dallas, folks. Just
There you go.
get used
So
to that.
that would be your Texas driving safety tip is please do not consider the left lane as an optional on-off lane. No, it is an on and fast and faster.
That's right.
Or you might accidentally get bumped.
If you don't feel the floorboard of your car when you're driving with your right foot, you ain't going fast enough.
Right? And that actually, that brings up, speaking of relocation and all that, circling back around, that's probably one of the first comments I hear from my clients coming in is they're like, holy heck.
Yeah.
They can't believe that the average speed limit going through the center of town is 70 miles an hour.
But
That's the posted speed limit.
That's just the suggested
speed limit. It just blows their mind. And I'm
Yeah.
like, well, it's a big state. We got things to do.
Well,
places
go to
go.
the outlying areas where the speed limit's 85.
Right?
Enjoy.
Yeah. Let's give them the training wheels on 70. Then we'll help them work through the rest of it.
So we have this fantastic graph here from the Texas Association of Texas Realtors, and this is a really I found this to be really interesting. The top 5 states moving to Texas, and not that I was real surprised. Only I thought a little bit surprised. California's number 1. Well, duh. I mean, bye. I'll come and visit on vacation. Florida surprised me that it's number 2. I thought everybody was going to Florida. I didn't realize they were leaving Florida. And Louisiana really surprised me that there's that many people bailing out of Louisiana.
I wonder if that is still a holdover from almost I think the migration impetus was started by Hurricane Katrina,
Right.
and I don't think it's really ever slowed down. I think the more what Katrina caused, because Louisiana,
I didn't think about that.
the people I've known from Louisiana are very, 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 very family centric, which is an awesome thing. I mean, most people don't ever leave Louisiana, and those that got kicked out because of Hurricane Katrina, I believe now that they've been they've been here for 15 years or so, they're really hitting their stride. They're saying cousins, aunts, uncles, come on.
Well,
so I really think
and
that might be part of it.
It's been long enough that they've got roots now.
Right.
And they're
So now the rest of the posse can come on over.
Illinois,
on
huh?
No,
yeah, right. Bring some crawfish. Illinois doesn't surprise me, but New York being number 5 kind of surprises me a little bit. I would have thought they'd been higher up on the list, but New York, I guess a lot of them kind of stay on the East Coast, maybe head to the Carolinas and Florida.
Well, here's an insight on that. One of my girlfriends that spent COVID in her tiny Manhattan apartment.
Oh, gosh. About as big as this table.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, when her lease came up in August, she said, bag it. And she sold everything she owned. She then went down and got her driver's license, or ordered her driver's license, which she'd never needed before. And she then leased a car for the next 2 years and then drove from New York to Utah, and she's now in Park City, Utah. Because for her, I was like, "Holy heck, woman! Park City, Utah is kind of pricey," but for her, it was a lateral move. There was no change. So, just for what it's worth, I wonder how many other
Well, you know, there's
Yorkers are thinking like that.
something. COVID, this pandemic has changed our society in many ways that it's really just now coming home to us. But in another few years, particularly when we'll feel like we're on the other side of it, we're going to look back and go, "Wow, how did that happen?" One of the things that I've noticed is that, and I'm in this group, a lot of us have kind of got to this point where we said, you know, is it really worth the sacrifices I make, the energy I'm putting in to living in this big fast-paced city, all of this thing, where's the value in all that? And a lot of it is that a lot of us have had to do a lot of reflecting, and when you're concerned about your survival, literally, you start going, what's important? You know, what's more important? And I'm hearing this from my doctor. I'm hearing it from friends of mine. I have some friends that just moved up to Arkansas. You know, they just, a successful couple, and they just said, we're done. You know, we've had enough of this. And I think that the pressure that we've all been on, it's not just COVID. This whole year has been cucaracha from the get-go, really the last few years. But it's been crazy. And I think people are exhausted emotionally. And they're like, I'd rather live in a trailer and be happy than worry about whether or not
someone sneezes on you, or
yeah. And I know that it's a sort of a societal thing that's going on. What are your thoughts?
I think I heard on a podcast, and I can't remember who it was, they said, well, you know, really what's happened is what was already happening has just been hyper boosted by a decade. And so his theory was we are now where we were headed anyway. It just got boosted by,
so
jumped ahead by 10 years.
The good old days are going to stay the good old days. I mean, we're moving on as a society. We're just constantly evolving and changing. And this just kind of kicked it in the butt.
Right? Yes, to a certain degree. But I mean, haven't we always been evolving? I mean,
well, we have been. Yes,
you know,
and
we no longer do cave drawings to text. We actually do on this electronic device.
You haven't seen any of my artwork.
But I mean, if you think about it, I mean, cave drawings essentially were the original texting, right? Because you had to say a lot in little tiny black and white pictures, and now we say with black and white pictures that are letters, right? I mean, so we've always been evolving. We're
going to take a quick break. We'll be back in 2 minutes. Don't go away.
The hardest working and arguably most important system in our homes is our air conditioning and heating system. It heats the air, it cools the air, and it filters the air. That's why it's so critical to have it checked and maintained by the very best professionals available. It's time to contact Total Air and Heat at totalair.com. Get that system pruned and tuned. If you want to have the very best experience, you've got to hire the very best company. Total Air's employees are honest, well-trained, and thoroughly background checked. I never have to worry about sending their technicians out to my clients' homes. Family owned and operated for 3 generations, Total Air and Heat has been a fixture in North Dallas for over 60 years. Total Air is a proud dealer of the Trane air conditioning systems, and you know how hard it is to stop a Trane, so give them a call at 972-881-0020. That's 972-881-0020, or contact them at totalair.com today.
I'm here today with Bess Dickson. Bess is a global real estate guru.
That works.
Is that close enough?
That works.
Bess is my very good friend. She's an amazing lady, and Bess is always up to speed on all of this relocation. We're talking relocation from other parts of the country to our area and other areas as well. There's this sort of mass migration going on in the country right now for a lot of reasons. I think probably a lot of it has to do best with people, moving for financial reasons, or they're also really reacting to these shutdowns where they're in cities that have just said, no, you can't live anymore. You have to be a little mouse in a box. Don't come out of your box until we tell you to. And so they're saying, you know what, I'm moving out of my box and I'm going to go somewhere they don't have boxes. Right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Population density is suddenly a very bad word.
Yeah.
It's not- yeah.
Well, I have another business. I'm a fishing guide. So I spend a lot of time out in East Texas where I got my guide services. And the one thing that I can tell you, we've all noticed over the last year, is that there is incredible development going on in rural areas, and where people are buying acreage and they're going out and they're building houses, they're building barns. It is amazing, amazing. Now, I don't know if it's maybe they did great in the stock market and they decided to go out and get a weekend place. But I know that some of my clients here in Dallas have told me that they're looking for weekend homes or,
Yes.
second homes, because they're not going to go take these big giant vacations that they're used to doing. They're not going to Europe and maybe not even going skiing this year. They're making plans to spend time with their family here.
The ranch and land division of Briggs, Freeman, Sotheby's International this year, the year's not even over yet, has posted its highest close rate in like forever.
Wow. That does not surprise me.
And interestingly enough, touching on what you were saying, not all clients, buyers are from out of state. A good chunk of it is in-state.
Right.
Just for exactly what you're saying. They still want the getaway. But they don't want to. They want to, 2 hours from DFW kind of thing.
Well, and there's other reasons for that as well. People are afraid. I mean, there's a big segment of us that are going, I need a place to get away to if I need to get away.
Well, along with getaway is also gathering in.
Okay.
And that is suddenly just exactly what you're talking about, that this has caused us all to stop and reprioritize. And the biggest priority change I've seen as it reflects to housing is generations gathering back together. So I've got many calls from people saying, hey, I got to rethink my housing situation because mom and dad have decided to go ahead and just sell their place and they're going to be coming my way. And
Well,
so
and
that's
a
what's
big
going on
part
with
of that, a huge part of that, and I've been talking about, of course, for months, as I'm sure a lot of people have, is how this has forced families that were normally just always on the run to not be on the run. In other words, mom's not running around kids all over town all day long now. They're all at home. They're at home, and they're teaching, they're schooling from home, which hopefully we're about over that ridiculous thing. And so they're doing homeschooling, but they're all seeing from everybody's together. And all of a sudden, their family they're not this little scattered thing. They're family units. They're actually having to be families. I think this is going to be a strength building thing for the family. I think we're going to look back and go, here's some of the upsides to what happened, and that could be one of them. I'm very much believe that this has forced us to really change our lifestyle in some positive ways.
Absolutely.
You know?
Right? Isn't that how it always is? There's a silver lining in every cloud.
Yeah.
We've just had a 10-month cloud or so with a few thunderstorms, a little bit of a hurricane feeling, but here we are.
Yeah. Well,
Or we're in Texas, tornado. There you go.
Tornado. And so what are your, now during the break we were talking briefly, and I don't have a chart to show it, but you were telling me that the migration from New York, which I thought, and a lot of us have always thought would come directly to Dallas. It's more cosmopolitan. I mean, Houston is as well, but it's in the past, it seems like there's been a big migration towards Dallas for whatever the reason is.
Yeah, I was just sharing with you. It's really interesting when you really dig into the stats. Yes, you've got the 5 top states as far as pouring into Texas as a whole. But if you look at the top 5 states, selecting Dallas County in particular, what's interesting is that Virginia shows up
Interesting.
as one of our top 5.
Huh.
And I actually am blessed to have a little bit of personal insight on that, and that is of the many I am blessed with right now, relocation clients I'm working with, a couple of the couples are actually coming in from Virginia.
Coming from
From
Virginia
Virginia.
to Dallas.
To Dallas. And so when I was digging in and found that stuff, I was like, oh my gosh, that's exactly what I'm living. I also have a couple coming in from California and a couple coming in from Florida. And all 3 of those are the top.
Are these corporate relocations?
California is a personal to be near family. And the other 3 are jobs. They are jobs. And
Because Virginia is so government driven, right?
right?
Yeah.
And also, don't forget, heavy concentration, or as a reminder, heavy concentration of higher education. So the couples that are coming in from Virginia that I've been blessed to ask to guide and help and introduce to Texas are actually just coming out of master's and PhD programs, and they've been hired
I
here
mean,
in
that
Texas.
just helps us so much to have that quality of people moving here. I mean, we like everybody. We love everybody. We don't care where you come from. We don't care what your so-called status is. I don't care about any of that stuff. I love my working, the people I work with in construction that are coming from other countries, primarily south of us, are like family to me. I love y'all. But I really love having, I really think it's really good for us, for our long-range future, to have these higher education people coming here, or higher, whatever you call them.
And boy, that's a lead-in into the international relocation too. And that is we have, if you look at going by country, who's relocating, forget the states, the countries that are relocating to Texas. You've got India as a primary driver.
Don't we have the largest population?
It's up there. It's pretty high.
I think we have the largest population of India relocation. I think that's right. I read that recently. I could be wrong, but it seems like Dallas, or one of our surrounding cities, has a huge population.
And
these are people that are, a lot of times, these are people that are very culturally connected, and so they'll gravitate to community in mass. So
Yes.
you'll have a community that's just all of a sudden you look up and you feel like you're kind of in another country. And we have a huge Korean population.
Yes.
We have a huge, really Asian population that's massive in Dallas. Yeah. And so what's bringing people from other countries here, do you think?
It depends. I mean, obviously, job opportunity. It's not too much different than people that have been born and grown up in the United States. You know, they're coming to Texas because of the opportunity, the job opportunity, family connections. Maybe the extra wrinkle with out of country is going back to we are relatively inexpensive to invest in, and there's that EB-5. Green card law that keeps getting renewed. And that's a whole nother, probably a whole nother podcast chat about that. But essentially, if you invest enough money as a group and prove that you are employing United States citizens in the process, then you almost get a blank check on how many relatives that you can bring into the country with you.
Yeah.
And so that's a nice little,
Well,
nice little perk.
and that's fine because they're all coming for good reasons. And
Absolutely.
So we like that. And the other thing about Texas, of course, is it's a great place to start a business.
It is. It's very small business friendly, which is fantastic because that dovetails with an interesting stat that I recently read, and that is right now across the United States as a whole, the surge in small business applications, EIN numbers has just skyrocketed since COVID came. It's like triple what it was this time last year.
Well, it's the same thing that drives it every time. and it's people being kind of thrust out into the workforce for things that they couldn't control, and they go, yeah, I have 3 businesses now. And one of the things that I've learned over time, I've been doing this a couple of years, is that you have to have diversity in the kind of economy that we have, because unless you're working as a salaried person, which good for you, keep it, don't lose it. But if you're a self-employed type person, like I've been self-employed literally my entire life, I've never worked for anybody for more they couldn't stand me for long. And I learned as a business owner that I needed to diversify and have multiple streams of income, even though it may not be a lot of income, but it might be enough to make the rent payment or make the car payment or whatever, little things that really help out. And so this is I have a real good friend. She's been on this show a couple of times, and she had the first all-female roofing company in Alberta, Canada. And she has relocated to Houston and is trying to start kind of multiple locations up in sort of the southern United States. And unfortunately, she made this move at COVID 30. So she's had a bit of a struggle getting started, but she saw Texas as just the perfect place to move, move her business, and she wanted out of Canada.
We don't penalize you for being successful and working hard.
We don't. We don't. We actually we're very capitalistic
interpret
around
that as
here.
you will, but that's the fact, Jack.
No, we're no. I feel very blessed to be in Texas and to be.
Amen.
I always have, and it gets in your blood, and nothing else ever feels like home.
No.
You can go.
It's another day in paradise. We're blessed. I always tell my friends,
really are.
the whole world is in a rush to move here, and we woke up here today. So we're already winning.
Yeah. And I'm blessed to have you as a friend and as a guest on my show. I really appreciate it. You're just an amazing lady, and you've had you have an incredible story that we've talked about before. And I appreciate you so much. You're a survivor. You're a mom. You're amazing. You're an amazing lady.
Well, thank
and
you.
so we always appreciate you coming and spending time with us. Appreciate your advice, and your insight is amazing. You're just a great lady, and I really appreciate you so much. And so that's our show today. And listen, you need to check us out check out our YouTube. I've been doing some updates on my videos, and I'm trying to become more YouTubeistic, whatever that is. So, Remodel Revolution on YouTube. Check that out. Check out our Facebook, of course. Like us. We really appreciate it. Please subscribe to our YouTube as well. We're spending a lot of time trying to make it better. And, of course, our podcast, Remodel Revolution. You can get it on literally any podcast site. We're everywhere. And then don't forget that if you'll go on Texas Weather Tracker TV, put that on your phone. That is a local weather channel, and they rebroadcast our show on Roku, Apple, and something else TV. I always forget the third one. On Sundays at 1 o'clock and 3 o'clock. And so you can see us all over again. And it's I'd watch both of them, actually. I just keep watching. And also, you can find us on LinkedIn. We post all of these shows back on LinkedIn. And so we're trying to stay in touch with you. And please send me an email or send me a note on Facebook, and let me know anything that you want to see or any suggestions you have, and how much you're liking the show. We would really love to start hearing more from our folks that are listening. And until next week, this is Alex Guthrie. Next week, let me go over real quick. Next week, we're going to have the Black Contractors Association from Dallas on with us, and we're going to talk about some things they're doing to help prisoners that they're training in the trades. It's going to be a fantastic show. I'm really looking forward to it. So don't miss that show. That's going to be a lot of fun. This is Alex Guthrie signing off. I hope you have a great week. Thanks for watching the show. We'll see you in a week.
The views and opinions of this program are for educational and entertainment purposes only and are not intended to replace the recommendations of a hired professional. You can catch Remodel Revolution anytime. Follow the show on the website, remodelrevolutionradio.com, or on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest using the handle @Remodel Revolution Radio. You can always listen to the show on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, and TuneIn, and watch the show anytime on YouTube.